Hey, sports fans, Rich Flaherty here with your Week 13 TFL results show. What a week it was. We had a lot of opportunity to close out the playoffs, and none of it happened. As of right now, going into the playoffs, going to the last week of the season, we have 11 of our 12 teams are still mathematically alive to make the playoffs, which is just mind blowing. The only team that's out at this point, and that is Mr. Hall. No Way in Hell Hall lost to Girls on the Beach this week, and that pushes them down to be our first competitor in the Toilet Bowl game or Toilet Bowl competition. So congratulations, John Hall. Anyway, quickly, just looking at the games, two big games, G-Men and the Fat both won the games that were important. Both scoring 109, so they split that coveted $10. So each of them get $5. Woo-hoo, good job, guys. What an awesome payout for having a great week. But they are the two high point scorers, and it was MVH this week who really struggled and only scored a minuscule 53 points. Not a good time for your team to start to fall apart going right into the playoffs. But so let's go quickly to the go. And I mentioned the team. So the three teams, Girls on the Beach, um, Louisville Share, and ED all needed to win to be able to keep their playoff hopes alive, and they all won. Fierce O'Flaherty's, the Huckleberries, and the Halfway House all would have been in if they had won, and they all lost. Amazing. So right now we are going to have some sort of quagmire at the bottom of the seeding, going for either the seventh and eighth seed or the sixth, seventh, or the eighth seed. We'll see how it all shakes out, but we'll talk about it in a sec. So let's go to the playoff qualification. So right now, either G-Men or Hang 10 will be the number one and number two seed. G-Men is there right now. If they win, they stay number one. If Hang wins and G-Men loses, Hang becomes number one. So it's going to be one of those two in the top two seeds. MVH is the third division winner. They are secured in the number three seed. We have an interesting situation with the number four and number five seed. You have the Fat, who are sitting at 8-5 against the Mooners, who are at 7-6. So what this means, and the Fat beat the Mooners early in the season. So if the Fat wins, they keep the number four seed. If Mooners beat the Fat, they move into the number five seed. They move in the number four seed, and the Fat drop to the number five seed. But the interesting thing is, if the Mooners lose, they actually could fall down in the quagmire, but they have such a big lead over everybody else that the most likely they're going to stay in the five seed or maybe the six, but they won't drop all the way out. So the Mooners are in. The next team that's really in is Halfway House. But the interesting thing here is right now, Halfway House, Fierce O'Flaherty's, and the Huckleberries are all tied at 6-7, while Share, Girls on the Beach, and ED are all tied at 5-8. Even if Huckleberries beat Halfway House, they have such a big lead in total points, which is going to be the tiebreaker over everybody else, that the Halfway House is secured in a spot. It'll either be the sixth seed or the seventh seed. We don't know yet. But if Fierce O'Flaherty's or Huckleberries win, they still are in a win and you're in scenario. They just got to win this week and they're in. If they lose, they fall in the quagmire, and that quagmire will be whoever loses of those three teams and whoever wins with Share, Girls on the Beach, and ED. If all three of those teams all lose this week, Share, Girls on the Beach, and ED, if they all lose, they're out. So they're in a win and stay in, or win and have a chance at least. But if they lose, they are out. So there's got a lot of games to watch. I mean, obviously with 11 teams still alive, it's pretty. We have a lot of games to watch. But really, we have three of the six games that are key ones because the head-to-heads we're running into to watch. So the key thing here for those who are in that quagmire, let's assume for the sake of argument that Share, Girls on the Beach, and ED all win, which moves them all up into that 6 and 8 category. If Halfway House wins, they are the number 6. If Fierce O'Flaherty's win, they are the number 7. If Huckleberry wins, then they are the number 6, and Halfway House drops. And then everybody else goes into that quagmire that will be decided on total points, unless, and this is the one thing, just since we all learned this last year with Hootie and the blowouts last year, if it turns out that it's Fierce O'Flaherty's, Share, and Girls on the Beach left at 6 and 8, Fierce O'Flaherty's will be out because they lost to both Share and Girls on the Beach, and they lost to Huckleberry. So certainly that's something to watch since it did happen last year. or that we actually had one team that lost to every other team they were tied with. So that's the playoff situation. As I said, it's amazing. ED was left for dead on the playoffs, and they've come all the way back, and now are positioned to potentially, with a big week, potentially leapfrog up. Obviously, if those teams all are tied, the key determiner then becomes total points if there's no head-to-head advantage. Right now, Fierce O'Flair, well, half is well ahead. So again, as I said, they're in if they get in the quagmire. But if the rest of the teams in the quagmire, Fierce O'Flair's are 1,080, Huckleberry's 1,074. Shares 1,057, Girls on the Beach is 1,053, and ED is 1,052. So there's no clear winner. Obviously, it's to be a big week. Had to be a big week for Girls on the Beach, ED, and potentially Share to jump all the way up and past Huck or Fierce. But it can happen. If you look at this week, Louisville Share beat Fierce O'Flaherty's by 20. Was it 23? So that would get them tied with Fierce O'Flaherty's. Girls on the Beach beat Fierce O'Flaherty's by 22, but Louisville Share this week beat Huckleberry's by, goodness gracious, 32, and they beat Girls on the Beach beat Huckleberries by 31. So could be, you never know, could happen. So lots of things to watch. We'll keep everybody updated. And hopefully we'll be able to get a preview show out tomorrow or Thursday. Have a great night. See you later. Bye-bye.